careers are often measured by the number of championships won. So for three men who have never won an NBA title but are destined for the Hall of Fame, tonight takes on added significance. Houston trails 3-2. But Charles Barkley knows a Rockets victory keeps his hopes of a ring alive, while a Jazz win means John Stockton and Karl Malone head to their first NBA Finals ever.
Moment has come, the eyes of the world are waiting to see. This is your time to claim your place in history. Standing tall with your face to the wind, you've waited all of your life. Finding your strength from within, making your hopes come alive. Capture the dream, give it all for the team. The call of the glory, the thrill of the game. This is the moment your whole world can see. Go for the gold with total control. Feet in the fire, burning deep in your soul. One vision, one goal to capture the dream.
Two teams, one dream. Game 6 is next.
Capture the dream.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1997 NBA playoffs. Tonight, Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals between the Utah Jazz and the Houston Rockets.
This is the Summit in Houston, the home of the Houston Rockets, who tonight are serious, focused, intense, but not desperate. Desperation is not a part of the equation where the Houston Rockets are concerned. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals. I'm Greg Gumbel. 13 times in their history under head coach Rudy Tomjanovich, the Houston Rockets have been here before. 11 times they have come away a winner. There is no quit. This is very familiar territory for the Rockets. Working alongside me, as always, Bill Walton and Steve Jones. Let's first talk about these Rockets. Hakeem Olajuwon is averaging 30 points a game in this series, yet they're down a game. Is he too much of a one-man gang?
Greg, Hakeem has been near perfect, but history teaches us that the team invariably beats the individual. And when Hakeem has had the ball inside in the low post, everybody has been standing around, making it impossible for Hakeem to pick out cutters. There's none of that. There's no screens on the weak side, and Hakeem consequently turns the ball over time and time again. The inside-out game has been unproductive. Hakeem unwilling, reluctant to pass the ball out, even when three guys are on him. By the time he does kick it out, too late, clank. And that was the story of Game 5 for the Houston Rockets at Utah. 0 for 13 for the artillery gunners from behind the line. But the big story is always Charles Barkley, who was a monster out of the blocks. Big start, but nothing the rest of the way. Now, this Houston Rocket team, they need to gel right now, or it's going to be a long and bitter summer here in South Texas, Greg.
All right, Bill, the Utah Jazz in position to clinch tonight. Karl Malone, Steve, has gotten a lot of the publicity, and rightly so, but a guy named John Stockton has had a heck of a series.
There's no question about it, Greg, and how important is John Stockton? On every scouting report, it says, contain Stockton, control the Jazz. A year ago in the conference final, John Stockton less than 100%. You see what a healthy John Stockton means and what he can do for the Utah Jazz. And Karl Malone, who has been subpar on the road, is going to have to come closer to his home court numbers. If they do, they're headed for their first finals, Greg.
All right, Steve, working the sidelines with us, as always, Jim Gray. Jim.
All right, thank you very much, Greg. Well, as you just said just a couple of moments ago, Rudy Tomjanovich and the Rockets are quite familiar with elimination. So I asked Rudy T, what did he say to his team in his pregame speech? He said, I said absolutely nothing. I asked him if there were any questions. There were no questions. Then he took the black drape off his bulletin board. This usually has all sorts of plays and strategy on it. Tonight, it had absolutely nothing. All it said is, believe in yourselves, believe in your teammates, do it together. Playing hard won't be enough. We must play smart. At that point, Mario Elie gathered the team together and he said, guys, we're known as the team with the heart of a champion. That means absolutely nothing now. We must prove it once again. Greg?
All right, Jim, great series with great players. 5 of the 50 greatest of all time on the same floor. Barkley, Drexler, Olajuwon, Malone, Stockton, all getting set for Game 6. Hannah Storm in New York after a timeout, and then the opening lineups and the starting of Game 6 from Houston. The fans are pumped for Game 6 here at the Summit. Here are the starting lineups. Familiar names and numbers by now. First for the Utah Jazz. In the backcourt, Jeff Hornacek in his 11th season, John Stockton in his 13th. Up front, Greg Ostertag out of Kansas, Karl Malone, the league MVP, along with Brian Russell, and the head coach of the Utah Jazz, 9 years in Utah, 9 postseason appearances, Jerry Sloan. And now for the Houston Rockets. In the backcourt, the rookie from Penn, Matt Maloney, along with Clyde Drexler, who is averaging 17 points a game, 14 in this series. Up front, Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, Mario Elie, the head coach, Rudy Tomjanovich. The Utah Jazz trying to win on the road, something they have rarely accomplished in the final. Utah has come up with 1 road victory in the Western Conference Finals history. That coming in Game 5 last year at Seattle. They had to go to overtime to do it. We're underway in the opening tap to Utah.
The start is everything for the Utah Jazz tonight. They have got to be sharp and crisp because they are in hostile territory, and this crowd is going to be the extra pump that the Rockets need to get a victory.
Hornacek, the runner down the lane, in and out, tapped up by Ostertag.
When you attack Hakeem, he's going to come to every ball. That's going to leave offensive rebounding opportunities to Ostertag.
Down low to Olajuwon, and it's out of bounds to the Rockets. The officials for the game this evening, Dick Bavetta, Ed F. Rush, and Steve Javie. Back to Hakeem, across the lane. Back outside to no one, out of bounds to Utah.
Hakeem not reading the defense. Again, no motion around him. The Rockets have to anticipate and outthink the Jazz in their game plan. Another easy layup inside.
Ostertag from Stockton. Way to anticipate, Bill.
A little early.
4-0 Utah.
This is a play, pick and roll, that gets Drexler into the middle.
We've talked about how Hakeem Olajuwon gets the ball in the middle, and the Rockets have been standing around. There's been some criticism. Rudy Tomjanovich doesn't seem terribly concerned about it.
He's proud of the way the team played. That's the way the Rockets won 2 championships. Those jumpers have absolutely got to fall, though, for this offensive scheme to work.
5 on the shot clock. Hornacek puts it up and in.
The whirly-bird working early for Hornacek.
The whirly-bird?
Oh, that's a move that you come out when all else fails.
Olajuwon with the jumper. Every point has come in the paint so far in this game. Utah by 2. Malone turnaround. Drexler back to Elie in the middle. Recovered to Barkley and swatted away by Hornacek.
The Rockets need to get to the foul line.
Batted away by Olajuwon.
And here comes Hakeem.
Elie, and that's an offensive foul.
When the Rockets do well at home, it's because they get fast break opportunities. They've had 2 of them early, haven't been able to convert. Ellie a little bit out of control, and Russell doing a good job of drawing that foul.
Malone turnaround. That is the shot Charles Barkley says he will give Karl Malone.
There's nothing Charles can do about that shot. Even though the Jazz off to the fast start, I'd like to see Karl go to the basket and get to the foul line.
Olajuwon comes up short. Ostertag rebounds. Here comes Utah again with the ball in a 4-point lead. Batted away from Malone. Recovers, and the shot up, no good. Fall away.
Soft, careless passing by the Rockets.
Barkley, and Barkley draws the foul. That's number 1 on Malone.
That pass had a direction, it had a mission, it was supposed to get to Drexler. What the Rockets are trying to do a better job of rebounding the ball, push early, get a quick opportunity. That allows Barkley to get down deep. The defense isn't as set. First trip to the line.
Barkley in the 2 victories for Houston, 19.5 points a game in their 3 losses, under 13 a game.
In game 5, particularly quiet performance. This is a night 20 and 20 for Charles Barkley, and a little less talk.
8-6 Utah, coming up on 8:20 to play first quarter.
The story for the Jazz has been they've been able to be the team that's out in front in all 5 games, first quarter and at the break.
Olajuwon got a piece of that layup try by Stockton, who comes along the baseline and lost it.
Hakeem with his first block of the game. In game 5, for all the great defensive work Hakeem did, he only got 1 block shot. He'll need huge stops down the stretch here for Houston to extend this series.
There's a reach-in foul called on Brian Russell. If I recall, that block shot came in the first minute and a half of play, and he didn't get another one after that.
He was in the air a million times, but never touched one. The Jazz throwing him over the top and converting on offensive stickbacks.
The Rockets trying to pick and roll for Drexler early. You'd like to see them come back to that same play. You're going to get a foul against Matt Maloney trying to cut through the lane, doing his imitation of John Stockton, but he hasn't learned how to draw fouls yet.
I think it takes 13 years to get to that level.
Russell trying to post up Mario Ellie, and now Malone will come down low. Instead, outside to Russell. Brian Russell with his first basket of the night.
When Russell has that sort of bounce to his step and a quick shot attempt rather than thinking and waiting, much more effective.
Barkley, foul.
This is the Charles Barkley that the Rockets need as Stockton picks up his foul, first on the evening. Barkley is moving side to side as opposed to trying to back up straight down.
Barkley back at Malone. Fakes once, outside. Hakeem Olajuwon has 4, and the Jazz lead is 2. Malone.
Those are the kinds of shots he missed in game 4, but he was at point-blank range.
Barkley backs his way in, spins, and got fouled by Ostertag. Malone wants the pushing off foul against Barkley. He's not going to get it. Jerry Sloan takes up the call.
Another terrible call on Ostertag. Barkley steps up and under to Hakeem, who is in the zone already on the offensive end.
And Rudy Tomjanovich likes what he sees on that play. 10-8 Utah when we come back. back at the Summit in Houston. The Jazz with a 2-point lead, 6:46 to play in the first quarter. And Karl Malone with his 1 of 5 start, and we've seen him miss a layup, eerily reminiscent of Game 4 here last Sunday.
Yes, and you can see from the shot chart that Malone is right in his office where he wants to be, and now he's got to make these shots pay. And you look at his series total, and you can see game to game where he's been strong. It's been at home. It has not been on the road.
But the nicest thing about Karl Malone, what he said coming in today, was that they want to win in this building. The Rockets have done that back to the Jazz up in Salt Lake City in years past. They want to rub it in the fans' faces here in Houston.
Barkley hits the first. Let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim.
All right, thank you very much, Greg. During that timeout, Rudy Tomjanovich told his team, hey, we got to get everybody involved, particularly Clyde Drexler. He said, guys, quit ignoring him offensively. Get him the ball. Greg?
All right, Jim. Barkley gets 1 of 2, and the Jazz lead it by 1.
The vast majority of the Jazz offensive success has been because of the Rockets' 3 turnovers already.
Malone outside Hornacek for 3. And Olajuwon has the loose ball.
He tells Maloney, hey, I can throw an outlet pass. You can get moving here.
Barkley is dominating the basketball. They're trying to get Drexler and everybody else involved in the game, but Barkley wants to establish himself early.
Ellie's 3-pointer off the mark. Russell with the rebound. Utah made 3 of its first 4 shots from the floor. They've missed 6 of their last 8. Malone steps back and hits. Karl Malone with 4.
Karl sets all that up, but with his early threats of the passes to Stockton and Malone as they cut sharply off of the low post.
And remember the first play of the game they ran, and Drexler got a pick and roll. Got right to the heart of the basket. They come back with that for Clyde.
Clyde Drexler with the jumper.
Talking about anticipation.
That's called visionary.
Utah by 1. Stockton on the baseline. Missed the layup. Olajuwon has the rebound. Brian Russell went for the steal, and a traveling violation is called. 4th turnover by the Rockets.
The Rockets should look for Drexler. He's the one with the energy. He's exploding. He's dunking. Clyde doesn't do a lot of that anymore. The jumper is there. Barkley is forcing it. I'd give it up to Clyde right now.
Howard Isley off the bench now. John Stockton to the bench. Isley did a superb job Tuesday night in Salt Lake City, coming on in relief of a foul-troubled John Stockton in the 3rd quarter. Brian Russell, top of the key. 3-pointer is good. Brian Russell gives Utah a 15-11 lead.
We see a picture of Russell. You see there's no fear, no doubt in his eyes. The guys that they're going to have to get to are Howard Isley, Shandon Anderson, and Greg Foster coming off the bench.
Drexler again. The coach says, get the guy involved. The coach knows of what he speaks.
Well, Clyde's been shooting in the 30% range, but he's in the zone offensively tonight, right from the tap.
Malone again. Karl Malone as Isley hits the deck. 17-13 Utah.
We talk so much about the great players. Great players come to play in big games. That's always been part of Drexler's history. The bigger the moment, the better he's going to play. He's ready tonight. So is Olajuwon and Barkley.
Drexler is 3 of 3 from the field so far and goes right back at it again, and a jump ball is called. Drexler tied up in the lane on his way to the basket.
Clyde points up to the video monitor and said, hey, this is a foul, ref. Take a look at this. All ball by Isley.
What was that, arm? You didn't see that arm?
That's all ball.
And Steve Javie has just corrected the situation. It is Isley to be jumping against Drexler.
Well, they're going to tap back.
Maloney finds himself alone. Missed the 3.
Ostertag finally gets a break.
Ellie tried to steal one underneath.
Foul is on Mario Ellie. That's number 2 on Ellie. And Eddie Johnson coming off the bench. And the cheers and chants of Eddie go up already. Another Rocket who has performed admirably in the 2 Houston victories and subpar in the 3 defeats. Hornacek, runner. Loose ball picked off now by the Rockets. Drexler, and draws the foul. Drexler wants credit for the basket. He's not going to get it.
Into transition, all made possible by terrific scrapping defense. Clyde with his head down, just determined to get to the hoop. He wanted it off the board. Looked like Karl Malone did push it into the board, which is legal.
Kevin Willis will come in at the next available moment. Drexler hits the first. He has 5, and there you see his performance so far in this series. Kevin Willis has just come into the game for Olajuwon, who has headed straight for the dressing room.
The way he was running, Mother Nature was called.
In league circles, we call that a Walton. 17-14, 17-15 now. Utah by 2 with 3:20 to play in the first.
Nobody's boxing out Ostertag. Every penetration by Utah, Ostertag is free at the offensive glass.
Isley into the lane and back outside again. Shot clock is at 7. Isley the lead for Ostertag for 2.
Now, Ostertag played a great game down here in game 3 with opportunities just like that at the basket. Got himself started. He has not been involved that much offensively.
Barkley going right back at it, and is that an offensive foul? It is. Barkley gets called for the charge. And with that, we'll take time. 2:49 to play. First quarter. The Jazz by 4. This is the NBA on NBC. Welcome back to the Summit. Greg Gumbel, Bill Walton, Steve Jones, and Jim Gray. 1915 Utah. Let's talk about Charles Barkley's work down low, Steve.
Charles Barkley was not active. He really wasn't involved after the first quarter. And tonight, Barkley has been a man on the mission by staying in his office and trying to make some things happen early and keep some offensive presence on Karl Malone. And he's been very effective here in the early part, drawing some fouls and making the defense react to him.
In the field goal department, Utah has attempted twice as many shots as the Rockets. You see the team foul situation. Utah has put up 18 shots to just 9 for Houston. The Jazz lead it by 4.
And Utah shoots the best percentage in the NBA. Howard Isley gets his first 2.
21-15, Jazz 2.5 to play.
The beauty of Utah is that when the role players come in, nothing changes. They stick right to the same plan. Drexler, a force that doesn't work.
Hornacek with the loose ball. The Jazz with Hornacek, Ostertag, Isley, Karl Malone, Brian Russell.
Pick and roll coming up, and this is where Howard Isley has a chance to get to the middle of the lane.
Isley, the bounce pass doesn't work, and it's out of bounds to the Rockets.
Houston with Rudy Tomjanovich made the conscious decision. We're going to stay at home with the screener, something that basically no other team does in the NBA. Everybody double teams or forces them back to the baseline, the ball handler. They're staying at home with Karl Malone, with Antoine Carr, not letting them get the good looks.
Barkley tries to draw the foul, didn't get the call, rebounded Willis outside.
7 on the shot clock.
Barkley, strong move.
That is in your face. You're talking about a guy giving up huge size and strength to Karl Malone, a turnaround jumper, and put it back right through him.
Under a minute and a half to play now in the first quarter. Malone outside Russell. Shot clock is at 5. Hornacek on the move to the basket. Layup, beautiful shot by Jeff Hornacek. Found a way through the outstretched arms of Kevin Willis, 23-17.
Kevin Willis didn't react to the defense initially that Clyde Drexler was playing.
Drexler on the move, got the bucket. No, it rolled out. He'll go to the line to shoot 2. Let's go back to that move by Barkley down low.
Barkley at barely 6'4", Karl Malone 6'10", just turns and jumps right in his face. Charles Barkley knows, as all veterans do, as Hornacek comes right back and just tricks Kevin Willis, who was left out to dry. But Barkley knows that Karl Malone's not going to get in the air defensively down low. He's going to strip every time.
This has been the best start for Drexler in the series. 9, working on 10 at the free throw line here early. And I think Rudy Tomjanovich had a sense that Drexler was going to be ready to play. And in that timeout, he said, get the guy the ball. He's responded.
Drexler with 2, 23-19 Utah and 50 seconds to play.
Steve, did you know that Clyde had no assist? He's looking to put it up tonight.
Hornacek with the shot clock at 10 and Kevin Willis out on it, meaning there's a mismatch somewhere. Hornacek looking for the shot. Down low, Foster. Willis open. Last 10 seconds of the quarter. Brian Russell for 3. And that'll do it for the quarter. Clyde Drexler has 10. Karl Malone has 6. We've played 1 of Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals. The Jazz lead at 23-21. It's the Jazz who lead at 3 games to 2. The Rockets need this one. We're coming back for the second quarter right after this. As we welcome you back to Houston for the start of the second quarter, we remind you to go online to NBCSports.com for all the latest from the playoffs. Listen to audio clips from the NBA on NBC, vote in our weekly poll, and also check out team-by-team information on the WNBA. And don't forget to check in during the finals and send in your questions to our own Steve Cybersnapper Jones, who will be chatting online throughout every game of the finals. It's all at NBCSports.com as we get underway here in the second quarter. Take a look at the first quarter summary. Utah has yet to go to the free throw line. Olajuwon in the lane.
Hakeem quickly returning from the trip to the bathroom and delivering.
That whistle blows, and this goes against the Houston Rockets, and Rudy T is less than pleased.
Hakeem quickly across. He always delivers with that little juke. Coming back to the baseline, that sets up his rhythm for the jump hook. Points in the paint. 12-6 in favor, surprisingly, of the Utah Jazz, who now have to rely on Antoine Carr for their offense down low.
Willis with the save. Olajuwon spins out of bounds to the Rockets.
Willis has done a lot of good things as Karl Malone catches some air.
Malone is sitting down, and now we'll find out whether the bench troop for the Utah Jazz is up to the task. At home, they have been more than capable, and on the road, they've been a little short. Drexler.
A little long. Willis with the rebound. Going to go right back up. And Willis with the loose ball again. Drexler steps behind the line and puts up the 3.
Clyde is just determined to shoot every time. And the way he's stroking it, why not?
Stockton had it batted away by 3. Willis spins, and tries to make the pass outside, picked off by the Jazz. 2-on-1, Russell to Shandon Anderson, who missed the layup, and a foul.
This is a really tough call. Sadeo Threet plays great defense. He's all by himself, back 2-on-1. He fakes and runs away.
Anderson just lost control of the ball. Just as he was about to finish, it spooned out of his hand, but he gets the whistle.
Rookie Shandon Anderson misses the first. A 75% free throw shooter in the postseason. That's the first Utah free throw of the night. (26-24) Houston.
Which is why I think Karl Malone should start every game driving to the hoop instead of sticking with the fadeaways. You want to establish your foul line presence.
Olajuwon spins in a hurry, kicks it out. Eddie Johnson.
Already Houston has found the jump shots that disappeared in Game 5.
Antoine Carr for Stockton, who runs into a brick wall, and it's gonna go the other way as Stockton gets a little contentious. 20-second timeout is the call on the baseline.
It's getting loud in here, Greg.
Yeah.
Along the baseline, Stockton, Kevin Willis, I think goes too quickly there. If he would have stayed a little bit longer, unnecessary roughness there.
It has now turned into a full timeout, so we'll pause with 9:51 to play in the first half. Turbo, the Rockets mascot, doing some pretty amazing things during the break here in the Summit as well. You take a look at the leading scorers. Houston has outscored Utah 14-3 over the last 3 minutes 55 seconds to take a 5-point lead.
And Greg, that's just what happened in Game 3 when Karl Malone went to the bench after a great Utah start. Hakeem defensively again.
And again.
Sadeo Threet has played fine basketball in limited time. Marvelous pickup.
Olajuwon faces up and hits the jumper. 8 for Hakeem. 31-24 Houston. The
Defensive energy that the Utah Jazz have had in all the other games is not evident early. Stockton with a miss.
Whistle blows. Looks like this foul will go against the Jazz.
Hakeem is so strong on the defensive end. A former defensive player of the year, blocks one, recovers his balance, comes right back. See how he keeps his chest out in front, then delivers the jumper. This is the Hakeem Olajuwon from 2 years ago at the peak of his game.
The previous foul was on John Stockton. That's 2 on him.
I never heard of a guy getting a block shot with his chest.
Chris Morris with the rebound, and back comes Utah looking for a spark. Morris.
These shots aren't even close.
And that'll be out of bounds to the Rockets.
Well, Jerry Sloan has said it's time to get Russell back in the game. Karl Malone is going to follow him shortly, but Chris Morris, who has never really gotten a chance to get into it, may be coming out after that quick shot.
Willis, foul. And that's Stockton, and that's 3 on John Stockton. And now, Ed Rush changes it to Antoine Carr.
Well, if I'm Antoine Carr, knowing how important John Stockton is to the team, I'll take a call. So Stockton runs up, said, not me, knowing that the third would set him down.
Willis with the first one.
The back down, looking for the jump hook. That looked like Stockton from the outside. It was his right hand coming off the ball that prevented this shot. But Rudy Tomjanovich has stayed positive with Kevin Willis. Even though Willis has been a non-factor,
throughout the playoff spring.
33-24 Houston. And Olajuwon going to draw the cheap foul up top.
We talked about the ability to draw fouls, and Olajuwon steps out knowing the pick and roll is going to come, and Stockton somehow gets his head right in there to draw that foul.
You ever been hit by a team by his shoulder?
Oh, yeah, it happens all the time. And travel on par. Utah's 6th turnover.
And Utah has been basically turnover free in the games that they have won and led at the break.
Ostertag trying to prevent Olajuwon's position, but Akeem spins to the baseline. Outside, Eddie Johnson for 3.
Willis everywhere.
Throws it up top. Ellie saves it. Back outside, and Freed says, let's slow it down.
Everybody's jumping to pass. Keep your feet.
Willis to the baseline.
Well, Willis hasn't gotten to play much, and he's just pumped. And you can see it, that he's trying to do things that he normally doesn't do, a little out of control early.
Carr.
Akeem. Send that stuff back.
Willis, jump hook, and Ostertag got a piece of that. Defense ruling these last few minutes. Stockton along the baseline, and the rookie, Shandon Anderson.
Shandon Anderson has scored all of the Utah Jazz's points, which total 3 in almost 5 minutes of play.
The Rockets call a timeout with 6:59 to play in the first half, and Houston in the lead. We'll be back. 6:59 to play in the first half, and John Stockton, Karl Malone not exactly performing the way Jerry Sloan would like it. So what happens, Steve?
Well, they have to get other players to step up, and particularly the guys that come off the bench and not going to get big numbers, and they have done it from Isley to Russell to Hornacek, Ostertag. They've all made an effort to keep Utah close here early.
Stockton and Malone combining for just 6 points so far, while everyone else has 20. The Rockets lead at 33-26.
Karl Malone just 1 rebound.
Eddie Johnson off the screen.
Finally, the Rockets run a play for Eddie Johnson. Here's a guy that should get 20 shots every single game.
You see the numbers there. Utah has missed 7 of their last 8 shots from the field. Karl Malone back on the floor. Pick and roll. Stockton comes off, and he'll go to the line to shoot 2.
With Olajuwon chasing everything, what he has to be concerned about is getting in early foul trouble. He just as pumped as everyone else, and on that pick and roll, he came late, but he came hard. But they give the foul to Mario Ellie.
Akeem gets careless in terms of he's so good, he thinks he can do everything out there. That time just stepped in too late.
Stockton hits the first.
Stockton has just been marvelous throughout the series. Now, his assists have been coming down, but that's because they're letting him shoot. They're staying with Karl Malone on the pick and roll.
Talking about the pick and roll, Rudy Tomjanovich said that his team never played the Utah pick and roll better than they did in Game 5. The Jazz ran it 25 times and scored just 5 of those times.
Matt Maloney has taken some very ill-advised shots. He's a spot-up shooter, not a creator at this point in his career.
That one's out of bounds to the Rockets. Anderson and Malone chasing it into the corner.
Jazz heavy with turnovers, and this has been uncharacteristic of them. That is their 8th here in the first half of play.
Ellie trying to set up Olajuwon, and Ostertag draws the foul from Greg Ostertag. That's number 2.
Talking to Jerry Sloan about Ostertag's foul problems, he feels that Ostertag's inconsistent performance hurts him. When he tries to step up, the referees just aren't used to it.
Olajuwon back outside. Ellie wide open for a 3. And Eddie Johnson fighting Malone. Instead, it's out of bounds and belongs to the Jazz. Karl Malone with a good job bouncing it off of Johnson.
But Karl hasn't found that defensive rebound rhythm. I mean, he's battling Eddie Johnson, who's not a rebounder anywhere near Karl Malone's level.
Eight on the shot clock.
Fall away. Rebound, Eddie Johnson, and almost threw it away. Barkley recovers behind the back and feeds Ellie.
Charles was the most surprised guy in the building that that ball was even there.
Rockets with their biggest lead. Brian Russell, three-pointer is off. Barkley is there. Hakeem across the lane. Jerry Sloan wants timeout.
Charles Barkley possessed tonight to get to those finals. Up the court in transition, finds Ellie. Easy layup there. But the heart and soul, the bread and butter, the one you can go to the bank with, Hakeem, one more time.
Hakeem Olajuwon gets his teammates in an uproar, and the fans too, for that matter.
Hi, everybody. I'm Hannah Storm in New York. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, we'll hear from Michael Jordan. He talked with Ahmad Rashad after the Bulls wrapped up the Eastern Conference by beating Miami last night. The Bulls await the winner of the Jazz and the Rockets in the NBA Finals, which begin either Sunday night or next Wednesday in Chicago. We'll also get the thoughts at the half of Julius Erving, Peter Vesey, and Mike Fratello on Game 6 in Houston. And right now, the Rockets are on a 22-5 run. They lead it by 11 as we send it back to Greg Gumbel, Steve Jones, Bill Walton, and Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Hannah. I'm now joined by Tina Turner. She plays for the Houston Comets. WNBA gets underway here on June 21st. First day of practice today. How did it go? How's camp?
Oh, it went great. Everything went well. Everyone's very aggressive, very intense, and ready to get it going.
I called you Tina Turner. You're Tina Thompson. We may have the singer during the WNBA. Let me ask you about the WNBA. How excited are you for this league to get underway?
Very excited. Just being a part of the foundation, one of the pioneers for the league. We're just ready to get it going. If the league starts tomorrow, I guess we would be ready.
And I'm sure you're a big Rockets fan as well.
Yeah, I am. I'm a very big fan of Hakeem Olajuwon. I like the way he works.
Tina Thompson, good luck at the WNBA. Let's send it back to Greg.
All right, Jim and Tina, thank you, and our best wishes.
Ostertag freed up by a great and relentless cross screen there by John Stockton.
Eddie Johnson out of control, threw it away, picked off by the Jazz, and here comes Utah. They are down 9 as we come up on 4 minutes to play in the first half. Hornacek wide open for three.
What they have not been able to get a lot of is transition buckets, and they get a quick one there and close the lead to 6.
Rockets plagued by guys jumping, trying to make passes.
Double team on Olajuwon, back outside. Maloney for three. And rebounded by Ostertag.
Maloney is committed to the shot. You got to look to move that ball to guys who have their feet set.
Karl Malone. Turnaround. And suddenly the Utah Jazz are rolling. And a 20-second timeout now for the Houston Rockets. With 3:20 to play in the first half, the Jazz have cut the Houston lead to 4.
I love the way Karl Malone turns in, keeps 2 hands on the ball, and almost curls the ball over the top with his turnaround jumper.
The Barkley-Malone matchup has been the fun one to watch in this series.
It has, and Charles Barkley hasn't had to be nearly the scorer for his team to win as Karl Malone, but both are going to have to bring big numbers to get the victory tonight. What's interesting about the Houston Rockets is they had a big lead and relaxed. Up until this point, there had been no relenting in their attitude and their effort. They've got to regain that in the final 3:20.
Utah has scored the last 7 points to close to 39-35.
Finally, they come back with Drexler.
Olajuwon back outside. Here's Drexler on his way to the basket. The scoop. Clyde Drexler has 15 here in the first half.
Why'd you ever take him out? Looking to pick up the foul on Akeem, who's got 2.
Ostertag has had a tough time finishing, but not this evening. He's got 10 in the ball game. Big game for Greg Ostertag early.
He is 5 of 5 from the floor. He also has 7 rebounds to go along with his 10 points. Olajuwon for Ellie. And now Barkley.
Shot clock at 5.
Barkley throws it up off the baseline and hit it. What a shot by Charles Barkley. 43-37.
Akeem only has 1 foul correction.
Malone's fall away. Around and out of bounds to the Rockets. Let's go back to Charles Barkley up against the shot clock.
Along the baseline, Charles knows he's got to get it up. He came one time into the middle. He lost the ball momentarily and has to fade away and bail himself out. Net, face.
Under 2 minutes to play. Barkley right back at Malone. 9 for Barkley.
Karl Malone's not getting any easy looks back on the offensive end. They've denied him on the pick and roll.
Kicked out of bounds. It'll be a new 24 for Utah.
What Charles Barkley is doing tonight that he hasn't done any other games is moving quickly. He'd been holding that ball, waiting for the double team, and now he's surprising the defense of Malone with a quick first step, and now he's right in the lane.
Great help defense by Drexler.
Ostertag left all alone.
Well, they're trying to make sure that Malone doesn't get a rhythm, and in the process, as they did in Game 3, they're shaking Ostertag loose. He's going to the bucket. Malone is finding it.
Correct. Ostertag averages 4 points a game in the postseason. He's got 12 tonight. Ellie on the drive. Nice shot by Mario Ellie.
Steve, you hit it on the head. The Rocket postmen are attacking immediately. No hesitation. Difference in the ball game.
Under a minute to play. Malone. Tough shot. Drexler there for the ball. Ellie.
Look at Clyde Drexler play, and Ostertag hurt.
And a timeout is called with 39 seconds remaining. Ostertag down on the baseline.
Remember Game 3 in Los Angeles, Ostertag went down, and it didn't seem like anyone knew what would happen in a rebound situation. He's got a sprained knee. It gives on him a little bit, and he goes to the floor, and it looks like a similar situation to Los Angeles. Ostertag is down, but I'm sure he's not out.
Utah center Greg Ostertag heading for the locker room. He sat out 4 games this year with a strained left knee and just re-injured it on this play. You see him down low and you see him just fall to the baseline. Let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim.
All right, thank you, Greg. Well, it was not his left knee, which had been injured. Greg Ostertag told Mike Sheminsky, the Utah trainer, that it was his left ankle. He walked off under his own power. They're going to examine both his knee and his left ankle. He said he felt a little bit of a snap. They'll examine it at halftime. Greg?
All right, Jim, thank you. Back to action and John Stockton on the drive.
And the craftiness of Stockton. When he turns that corner, he's looking the path, and even though the angle was there to shoot it, he kept looking for the pass. That froze Akeem.
He has just 4 points tonight.
8-second differential between clock and game. Rockets trying to have the lead for the first time in this series at the break.
Barkley with the shot clock at 5, back outside. Maloney for 3. Rebounded by Foster. Stockton. And Malone puts it up at the buzzer and hit it. That will count. And a big shot by Karl Malone. Charles Barkley slams the ball down in anger.
The long jumper by Stockton rims out as the clock is expiring. Everybody stops and stands except Karl Malone, the MVP, delivering one more time at the buzzer.
Clyde Drexler leading the way with 15 for the Rockets, who lead at 49-43. Hannah Storm in New York for the Prudential Halftime Report right after this.
This is the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential, bringing strength and stability to America's families through insurance, healthcare, real estate, and financial services.
Halftime of Game 6 in Houston with the Rockets leading the Jazz 49-43. Clyde Drexler is having his best game of the series with 15 points. Greg Ostertag injured just before the half. He leads the Jazz with 12. Karl Malone has 10. Hi, everybody. Hannah Storm with you back in New York, along with Julia Serving, Peter Vesey, Mike Fratello, and we're going to discuss the first half of the game in just a few minutes. The winner of the Jazz and the Rockets series advances to the NBA Finals to play the Chicago Bulls. Chicago is playing in the title round for the 5th time in 7 years. And obviously, the big reason why is Michael Jordan. After last night's win over Miami, Jordan spoke with Ahmad Rashad.
Michael has been saying all week that this series is personal. I guess you'll see that this is what Michael meant.
And that, a basket that hurts. A final second shot. The Chicago Bulls advance to the NBA Finals.
How do I feel about it? I don't think anybody's going to win again until Michael retires. I just don't.
There's been so much speculation about your career choices and what you plan on doing. How much longer do you plan on playing?
You know, it's hard to say, you know, how much longer you're going to play something that you truly love. You know, I don't want to put a limit on it. I like to play next year. I will look forward to playing if the situation provides for that. You know, if the situation changes and the organization want to change a total different direction, I'm never going to be against that. But I want to play as long as I can continue to perform, you know, at the level that people expect me to. And, you know, I'm never going to be able to live up to everyone's expectations of Michael Jordan. That's just, you know, that's something that's not possible. But as long as I'm pleased personally, then I still play.
When you talk about the situation, what is that situation that would allow you to continue to play here next year? Is that Phil staying, Scotty staying, Dennis Rodman staying? What is that situation?
I think everything is based on us winning, you know, and I'm looking positively as winning a championship. You know, I like to keep everything intact, you know, and do it until we can't do it anymore, until we don't win championships. I'm pretty sure everyone's waiting to see what that situation is. I think positively. I think we're going to win another championship and then hopefully keep everything intact. If it doesn't happen, it had to end sooner or later. We have to look at the realization of things. And I'm pretty sure Jerry's going to have to make some minor changes to start the rebuilding process. But I mean, it's his choice. You know, I never want to back him into a corner at all. You know, and whichever way he chooses to go, you know, I just alter my choices.
Have you backed yourself into a corner, so to speak, that if Phil's not here, you won't play?
That's not backing into a corner. I mean, that's the freedom of choice. You know, I don't have a contract. You know, so I haven't backed myself into nothing. You know, Phil's not here. It's quite easy. It's an easy choice. It's not a corner choice. You know, I'm not going to be here. You know, I'm not going to play.
And the Chicago Bulls have won their first ever NBA championship for the second straight season. 3 straight NBA championships. Make it 4 in 6 years.
This is your 5th time in the championship series. Is it any different than the other 4?
It's getting tougher. I mean, anytime you repeat things, it's just tougher. Just from a preparation of facing all the different challenges of staying on top. It's like the king of the hill. I mean, everybody's going to be, coming at you and trying to knock you off. And each time it gets harder and harder. But each time you win, it's more gratifying, that you withstood all the challenges, and yet here you are again, right back on top. So, I look forward to doing that again.
And so we have heard from Michael Jordan. He says if Phil Jackson does not return as head coach of the Bulls, it's an easy decision for him. Now, Peter, can you clarify the choices, the stance of everybody else who's involved in this situation?
Well, first of all, I definitely believe Michael when he says that. And then we get to the owner of the Bulls, Jerry Reinsdorf, who's telling the executives around the league that he will not pay Phil Jackson the kind of money that Rick Pitino and Larry Brown are going to get. Jackson, and I believe Jerry Reinsdorf when he says that too. And then we've got Phil Jackson. He definitely wants to come back and coach this team next year if given the opportunity to coach this team. But I don't know if Reinsdorf is going to give him that opportunity. He might want to rebuild. And then you've got the Orlando Magic. Huge deal on the table for Phil Jackson, and hoping that if Jackson accepts, that maybe he'll bring Jordan with him and he'll play for the $1 million exception. I've talked to people close to David Falk, Jordan's agent. Absolutely not. Jordan will retire a Bull. He will never come back. Hannah, it's very easy what's going to happen here. Jerry Reinsdorf's going to fold. There is no way that he's going to allow Michael Jordan to walk away. If Phil Jackson is going to coach this team, he might not coach for what he wants to, for the money he wants, but he's going to give him what he wants. Otherwise, Reinsdorf's going to leave Chicago.
Right. He may be forced to leave Chicago. He may be run out of Chicago. Okay, meanwhile, a reminder, if Utah wins tonight, here's the scenario. Game 1 of the finals is in Chicago, Sunday here on NBC. Airtime is 7 o'clock Eastern, and tip-off is at 7:40. Now, if Houston wins tonight, Game 7 of the Rockets and the Jazz comes to you from Utah Sunday evening, also at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And when we return, we'll talk about the first half in Houston. But first, a message from Prudential and a word from the NBA. Welcome back. As expected, the Denver Nuggets named Bill Handlick as their new head coach today. This past season, Denver was coached by two men, Bernie Bickerstaff and then Dick Motta. At the French Open today, all of the top seeds advanced, and the winners included '89 champion Michael Chang, women's #1 seed Martina Hingis, and three-time champion Monica Seles. You'll see all three of those players in action as our coverage of the French Open begins Saturday at 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 noon on the West Coast. It is halftime in Houston. The Rockets lead the Jazz 49-43 in Game 6. And let's talk about the first half, a half in which the Rockets have tried to get other people other than Akeem Olajuwon involved in the offense. Clyde Drexler responding. He has 15 points in the first half. That's matching his average for the series, Doc.
I'll tell you, all year long we've seen a balanced attack in Houston, but in this series we saw a shift in the balance. Houston had become a one-man wrecking crew with Olajuwon, and they were not going to beat the Jazz unless either Clyde or Charles stepped up. I spoke to Clyde Drexler today. He said he was ready and he knew exactly what he had to do. And tonight what we see is a frisky Clyde Drexler. He's driving the ball to the hole, making people come to help. He's shooting the medium-range jumper. Every now and then, you know, he's stepping back, shooting an occasional three-pointer instead of a steady diet of them. You know, this is the Clyde Drexler that the Rockets need, and Charles Barkley also has been no slouch in this first half.
That's right. Every one of the big three getting their points. Olajuwon's got 10. He's just getting them in a little bit different way, isn't he, Mike?
Yeah, well, as Doc mentioned, Clyde is doing his job his way, and Charles Barkley is doing his job. They've taken Akeem, whereas Game 5 he was exclusively on the low left block. They've shifted their people around the Rockets, and now Charles Barkley has a responsibility. Get shots for Drexler and Akeem in a different fashion. Let's look at a couple low post plays that took place in the first half. Barkley, located down the low left block, becomes the starting point for him. You'll see that the Rockets will now move their people, and interestingly enough, if three offensive players are above the tip of the circle, that's an illegal offense. Well, Ellie is just below that area, so he's okay. Now they'll start cutting their people to different spots on the floor to make the Utah Jazz make decisions as to who will come and double team Charles Barkley down low. Charles's job, locate the open man. He spots him. He finds Akeem spotting up. Maloney could give him a little bit different spacing, but I think they'll take this first look for Akeem out away from the basket, and he knocks it down. Again, a different post-up play. This time, Barkley with the ball, low left block, has to find where the offensive man is that's open. You'll find the Rockets trying to lift their guards and forwards away from the basket to pull the defensive players up with them. Now Charles must initiate by backing down low into the post area. Once he draws the attention of three defensive players, he's looking for the open man. He spots him again. It happens to be Akeem. And Akeem likes this. It gives him a clean, fresh look at the basket, no contact, and he's a terrific medium-range jump shooter. So a different way of getting points for Akeem.
And the end result of all of this is that the Rockets have their first halftime lead of the series. We'll see if Greg Ostertag is able to come back and do anything for the Jazz after being injured just before halftime, as they are hoping to finish off the Rockets, but Houston leads it by 6. We'll send it back for the second half right after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential, bringing strength and stability to America's families through insurance, healthcare, real estate, and financial services.
Welcome back to Houston. Halftime 49-43 Rockets. Greg Gumbel along with Bill Walton and Steve Jones. The Utah Jazz, happy with their position?
Well, they have to be happy with their position, and if they can remember this, composure and patience, because the Houston Rockets will let you back in a ball game.
Bill?
The Houston Rockets, they shot the ball extremely well over 54%. They got to the foul line. The key for them, don't force the action, find the hot hand. Early on, that was Clyde Drexler, milked that hot hand.
All right, here's a look at the Miller Lite halftime statistics. And first of all, for the Utah Jazz, Greg Ostertag, who left with an injury, leads the way with 12 points. We'll be getting a report from Jim Gray on him in just a few moments. Meanwhile, the Ostertag shot chart, hey, no blue spots, no misses. A perfect 6 for 6 for Ostertag. For the Houston Rockets, leading scorer is Clyde Drexler. Clyde the Glide, a hot hand in the first hand with 15, and then Olajuwon with 10, Barkley with 9. Drexler has favored the far side of the court so far. Just 2 misses for Clyde, 5 of 7 from the field. 49-43 Rockets. We're coming up on the second half right after this.
Welcome back to Houston as we get ready for the second half. Utah Jazz, Greg Ostertag will play in the second half. Charles Barkley would like to play too. And Dick Bavetta wants him to start. Ostertag's in the lineup. He's going to play. Jerry Sloan unhappy with his team's transition defense. They were outscored 8-1 in fast break points. Rudy Tomjanovich very happy with the first half, except for the last 39 seconds, Greg.
Jim, that's more abuse than any one person should be subjected to. Olajuwon outside and then right back at him. And it's stripped, recovers, back outside, Maloney for 3. Maloney had a good look, just didn't fall for him. And Maloney is now 0 for 5.
Maloney was the only one that shot the ball well up at Utah from the line. Not so tonight.
The difference in the game so far has not been the three-point field goals as Stockton cashes in on his first. It has been the Rockets getting more twos than they've gotten in previous ball games.
And it's keeping the Jazz out of their fast breaking game. Only 1 fast break point tonight for the Jazz.
Jazz has closed to within 3. Drexler with a hand in his face. Malone rebounds and outlets for Russell.
Terrible start for Houston.
Malone, fall away. Karl Malone makes it a 1-point Rockets lead, 49-48. The third quarter has belonged to the Utah Jazz in this series. They shoot 50% from the floor in period number 3. Mario Elie on the run, off the glass. He hit the deck hard. And the foul is going to be against the Utah Jazz. That's Russell. Brian Russell, that's number 2.
This is a very difficult shot that Elie takes. He gets in between and then trying to get the recovery, gets knocked off his feet. Russell gets the call.
The bounce in the step that we saw for the Rockets early on is not evident here in the opening moments of the third.
Well, that's part of their history, though. They have a tendency to get a lead, relax, get happy, and then they have to restart their engine.
Olajuwon with the short jumper in the lane. First points of the second half for the Rockets.
That's a pretty good spark plug right there.
Russell draws the foul from Mario Elie, and that's 3 for Elie.
Fouls on number 17, Mario Elie. That's his 3rd personal foul.
Keep saying how the Houston Rockets get complacent sometimes, Steve. Hard to figure out how you can get complacent when you're facing elimination. Brian Russell with the 2-pointer.
They get complacent because they're so talented and they think they can just turn it on and do it whenever they want to. Not so against the relentless pressure of the Jazz.
Ostertag facilitated that steal. Malone to Russell, 2 points. And the Jazz have regained the lead, 52-51. And Rudy Tomjanovich says timeout. His team has 2 points since the start of the second half, and Utah has come roaring out of the locker room. Malone on the break, the feed for Brian Russell, and the Jazz are on top by 1. The Utah Jazz, a perfect 4 for 4 from the field here in the second half, and it's brought them roaring back into the lead.
At the top, we said the team always beats the individuals. Everybody getting involved. Movement without the ball. The anticipation that you will get it forces you to move quicker. The best passing team in the Western Conference all year. They're just taking it right to the Houston Rockets, who couldn't have had a worse start.
See kind of an answer the Rockets come up with. Drexler loses control. It's out of bounds to Houston.
Still Rockets ball.
And 9 on the shot clock.
What happens to the Rockets emotionally is they get a double-digit lead. They try to kill a team very quickly with three-point plays. They make mistakes. That allows your opponent to get back in it. Barkley, against the clock, gets nothing done.
Malone batted it away from Barkley. Here comes Stockton, finds Hornacek. Chooses not to put it up. Instead, he slows it down and goes down low to Malone. Turnaround.
Can't do it over the Caller Akeem.
Stockton chased it down. Malone, jumper.
Second opportunities, and the energy and the intensity right now belonging to the Utah Jazz.
14 for Karl Malone, 3-point lead for Utah. Olajuwon tried to get it back outside. The triple team had him smothered.
Rockets not anticipating, not thinking.
Malone, fade away. Karl Malone with 16.
This is a clinic.
Drexler kicks it outside. Maloney, three-pointer off the mark. Olajuwon with the rebound. Drexler for 3. Rockets have gone back to the long-range game, and it is producing nothing.
Utah so disciplined, always able to get what they want.
Remember what Charles Barkley said. When you play the Utah Jazz, you have to play smart. Right now, the Rockets are not playing smart. In the first 24 minutes, they played a very smart basketball game. Struggling right now. Barkley.
Barkley gets his own rebound, got the basket, and he'll go to the line.
And what the Rockets have to do is just weather this storm and regain their rhythm and presence out on the floor.
But Steve, the Rocket postmen are not picking up that diving guard, the guy that's coming down to him on the spin, on the step through across the middle. And that guy is causing defensive problems all second half here.
Greg Ostertag drew his 3rd personal. Barkley missed the free throw. 56-53 Utah as we come up on 7 minutes to play in the 3rd. Hornacek, top of the key, jumper is good.
Hornacek has been the forgotten man for Utah. No complaints, just keep working.
Now, something lost, and they quickly stop play. They'll restart it with the Rockets on the side. What the Rockets have to do is now come back in all areas with more intensity, energy, and effort. They thought that the game was over in the first 24. Now someone's got to remind them there's still about 18 minutes to play.
Drexler outside Ellie, he gets it back and puts it up for 3. Clyde Drexler with 18 on the night, and with 58-56 Utah.
Maybe the Rockets didn't warm up properly in the halftime. Maybe they just came out and stood around, thought they would get it going. But
The fans now coming to their feet and getting back into this game. Out of the corner for three, Jeff Hornacek.
Stockton with the smart decision, passed up a little jumper. Hornacek was parked in camp. 5-point lead.
Olajuwon with the hook.
That time Hakeem didn't take his head off Stockton the whole way down. He read it, just ripped the ball right through the little man.
61-58. Hornacek with the miss. Olajuwon looks for the long outlet and chooses Maloney instead. Houston basketball, last touch by the Jazz.
Drexler trying to pump Maloney up, who really appears out of this game.
Well, Maloney goes as his offensive production goes, and he's 0 from the field, trying to get something there, and Stockton steals it.
Barkley with the giveaway, and Stockton back in a hurry. Batted away by Drexler, and that belongs to the Jazz.
Maloney got that dazed look in his eyes, and Rudy Tomjanovich is going to take him out, so they'll treat in Howard Isley and Stockton down. Now, you always look for moments when you can get back in a game. When Stockton goes out of the game, that's when the defensive energy of the Rockets definitely has to be greater, and they've got to force Isley further out on the floor.
Isley hasn't hurt him a bit in this series, Greg. He's helped them.
Isley had batted away. It's off of Isley's knee, and it belongs to the Rockets. Dale Threet back in a hurry. Threet on the floor now, replacing Maloney. So both starting point guards getting a breather on the bench. Olajuwon draws the whistle. That shot will not count. And the foul is called. The foul is on Hornacek, and it's number 1.
Hakeem says, why not? That should be N1.
Hakeem outside. Ellie for 3. We're tied at 61. Whistle blows as Hornacek made his move.
Now Drexler ran him into the ground. That will be the first on Drexler.
So Dale Threet really providing a spark here.
Isley looks underneath for Ostertag, who lost it, but it was last touched by Houston. 16 on the shot clock.
When you look for tentative play, you look for it at big moments, and Isley and Ostertag starting to sputter just a little bit.
MVP time right here.
Malone, fall away. 2-point lead for the Jazz. 63-61, 18 for Karl Malone tonight.
8 in the quarter.
Outside, Ellie on the move to the baseline, tie game again.
That's a heat check for Mario Ellie after that 3 went down just barely over the fingers of Brian Russell. Why not try it all?
Isley inside, around and out, and Ostertag on the baseline. It belongs to Houston.
Sloan telling Ostertag, go strong.
Ostertag doing fine.
See, Barkley wasn't holding the ball like this in the first half. Now he has to work a lot harder to get in. Drexler.
For 3. 21 for Drexler.
Right back to Karl Malone for Utah here. You got to get this crowd back in their seats. Here's his jumper right there.
5 on 2. 3 to Drexler. jump hook. That doesn't fall. Tap, no good. Tapped again. Hornacek comes out of the pack with the basketball and a new 24 for Utah.
Get a rebound, please. One time.
Hornacek. And Ellie with the rebound and draws the foul. It is a Clyde Drexler kind of a night, isn't it?
Doing it all, Clyde Drexler from Barkley the first time, planting that right leg. That's his step-through motion. And then on the break, Sadeo Threed, who's just been doing everything in relief of Matt Maloney, comes in the air, freezes the defense. Drexler with the strong finish. Houston in control.
2:19 to play, third quarter. Houston leads by 5. We remind you, regardless of the outcome tonight, NBC will have NBA action coming your way Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If the Rockets win, we'll have Game 7 between the Jazz and the Rockets. If Utah wins tonight, we'll begin with Showtime at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by Game 1 of the NBA Finals from Chicago, the Utah Jazz and the Chicago Bulls. Either way, it's going to be a pretty interesting Sunday afternoon.
Going to be a terrific Sunday afternoon, and right now the Utah Jazz have to resettle. Stockton goes out of the game, they lose control. Barkley trying to pull his way in.
Barkley going to force it up and draws the foul. And Ostertag walks away.
This is a really tough call on Ostertag. Barkley's in the lane, 9 seconds. Pump faking, 4 fouls now on poor Greg, who has to go to the bench, and the other Greg comes in, Foster.
Barkley to the line. Barkley is 3 for 5 from the free throw line tonight. Barkley hits the first. Let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim?
All right, Greg, during the last timeout, Jerry Sloan told his guys, hey, guys, be patient on offense. Make the extra pass. Don't rush it. The only reason they get their runs is because it's off the transition on your bad shots. Now, as for Rudy Tomjanovich, he told his guys, play smart. Play under control. Greg?
All right, Jim, 2:05 remaining in the third. Barkley goes 1 for 2 from the line. The Rockets lead by 6. 2 minutes to play.
You know, I should try to get Brian Russell some good looks. He had a hot hand early.
I thought we were sticking with the MVP. Karl Malone was torching him early, and now you're going to go to Brian Russell?
Barkley fronts his man. Isley puts up the shot too long, and Willis is there for the rebound. Barkley gets Malone in the air and draws the foul. That's 2 on Karl Malone.
The parade to the foul line for the home team continues. Karl Malone has not gotten to the line at all in any of the games in Houston. When you just back in and throw yourself into the defender.
Karl Malone has not gotten to the free throw line at all this evening.
Not one time?
Not one time. Which game have you been?
He's been watching that guy throwing himself into the defender.
Barkley says, hallelujah, I got 2 that time. 71-63, under a minute and a half to play.
And while Houston built this lead, Akeem sucks air on the bench, getting ready for a big fourth quarter.
Malone forces the shot up.
Well, they say on the side, Malone was walking to the line, and he gives Steve Javy that look. I'm like, Steve, come on.
Foul is on Kevin Willis. That's his first.
Which is the first for Kevin Willis, who had in all the other ball games had just been hammered and on the bench as quickly as he'd come in with foul problems.
Malone, that won't count either. And the foul.
Clyde Drexler once again. All the
and that's
pushing,
number 2 on Drexler.
Excuse me, Greg. All the pushing and the shoving by the guards. Hornacek just walking down.
It's like, that's not a foul on Clyde Drexler.
But you know with Steve Javie, you don't get a chance to have much conversation. And Drexler's got a sensational game going, but doesn't want to get on the wrong side of Javie. Best to let it go.
Hornacek hits the first.
Now watch Jeff Hornacek say hello to his kids. He'll wipe his face, and that's his signal. That's the only way he can say hello, and then he'll make the free throw.
What does he do when he's sweating?
Forget this.
Hornacek gets 2 out of 2. 71-65 Rockets.
Nice quarter for Hornacek. He's got 7 in the quarter.
Terrific quarter there for Sedale. 3.
Barkley right back at Malone to the baseline. And the reverse too hard. Malone has the rebound. Here comes Utah. Batted away. Rolling. No. Grabbed by Hornacek. Shot clock is at 9. Into the lane. 2 more for Jeff Hornacek.
Rockets gambled and trying to make a steal, and Hornacek made him pay 9 1/4.
Clyde Drexler just called off the play and said, I'm shooting this.
Throws it away.
Now, this is the same way the Rockets ended the first half. They got a little casual, they got a little careless. John Stockton rushing in. They want to make sure they get a score. The Rockets had built the lead to 8. Now it's down to 4.
And John Stockton is back with 26 seconds to play in the third.
First poor stretch of the series for Isley.
The bench and onto the board for 3 points with 5 seconds remaining in the third. Barkley with Malone on him, puts it up and hit the front rim. John Stockton with a 3-pointer gives Houston the momentum as we head to the fourth. We've played 3. Utah looking to clinch. The Rockets looking to stay alive. 71-70 Houston. We'll be back to Houston after these messages from your local station. Charles Barkley, one of 5 future Hall of Famers in action tonight. Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler for the Houston Rockets. On the other side of the floor, Karl Malone and John Stockton. Some of these Hall of Famers will go home, if not after this game, then after Game 7 on Sunday. The others will move on in pursuit of an NBA title.
This series has been so good, I don't ever want it to end.
Utah scored the last 7 points of the third quarter to finish in a flourish. Foster, and a jump ball is called.
Very Sloan just pounding the side of his head. Can't believe his Jazz aren't going to the line. Not a good sign here. Hakeem rubbing that right shoulder.
And is still grabbing it. From the tip, Ellie has the ball.
Hakeem gets a lot of physical therapy in between every single game of practice.
Quick foul against Greg Foster. And Foster's had trouble in the matchup. And it's been Foster late in the games here at the Summit that's been the defender against Olajuwon. And they'll see if they can't get Olajuwon cooking, who's been really feasting on the centers of the Utah Jazz.
Rockets starting this quarter with Barkley on the bench. Eddie Johnson. Got it. 7 points for Eddie Johnson.
So Dale Threed again making it happen with the right decision up top.
Malone. Fall away. Karl Malone has 20. Back to a 1-point game. Olajuwon trying to fight his way across, and that was called. The foul is on Foster.
It's so loud in here, Akeem didn't even know the whistle had been blown. Eddie Johnson a moment ago steps by Stockton, who didn't close out properly. And then when Karl Malone can hit this type of fadeaway jumper facing up, wow.
And that's another reach in and another foul on Foster, and it's 3.
Now the problem is team fouls, as Foster has that pain look on his face. 3 fouls against Greg Foster, 3 team fouls. The next 2, the Rockets are in the penalty. That means the free throws could make the big difference for them in winning the game. They go back to Olajuwon.
Give to Sedale 3.
Finally a cutter. Nice dump down pass. Utah is doubling down immediately on Akeem. Houston's got to make him pay.
Stockton, nice bounce pass inside, blocked by Willis. And that's out of bounds to the Jazz.
This is a good play by the offense, and Stockton gets inside, makes the right read. Carr is there, a better reaction by the defense of the Houston Rockets and Kevin Willis.
8 on the shot clock. Stockton, and there's an offensive foul. Antoine Carr leveled Eddie Johnson. Technically, this is a screen. Realistically, it's a brick wall.
Just a little bit of lean. That's a good flop by Eddie Johnson to draw that foul.
Oh, I'll bet it wasn't all flop.
Well, not 100%, but
Akeem, fade away to the baseline.
Oh, Shannon Anderson wide open.
And blocked by Olajuwon. Eddie Johnson. Timeout, Utah.
Hakeem Olajuwon with the fadeaway jumper the first time. That sets the stage and then comes from nowhere and sends it out of there. Ignites the fast break. And Eddie Johnson, why not?
Joy and celebration for the Rockets, who lead it by 7, but plenty of time remains.
Miller Genuine Draft presents a classic moment of the NBA at 50.
And tonight, we look back at Game 6 of the 1995 Western Conference Finals, a battle of Texas that featured the Rockets and the Spurs. Unlike these Western Finals, the visiting team won the first 5 games of the series in 95, but the Rockets finally won a home game here at the Summit. Hakeem Olajuwon outscored David Robinson 39-19, giving Houston the 4-2 series win. In recognition of this classic moment, the Miller Brewing Company will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Just a few moments ago, Eddie Johnson finishing off the spurt by the Rockets with a shot that was called a three-pointer, but I think you'll see Eddie's feet clearly on the line.
There was so much excitement in here. The refs not able to pick it up, something that will really hurt Utah. Hakeem's got 6 blocks on the night, 3 this quarter.
But that's the home court advantage. The little things like that with the crowd going crazy can make a difference between winning and losing.
Russell dishes off for Carr, who can't get it to fall.
Play smart for Houston now. Jim Gray reporting that the Jazz are not going to quit.
Well, they haven't. They've shown that they can withstand the runs that the Rockets have thrown on them, and the Rockets cannot afford to get happy and think that the game is over. Almost 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Malone inside, and he drew the foul. That'll be Kevin Willis.
And you see Carl rubbing that right palm. He's got a big open sore on that hand. Suffered in the earlier playoff series.
Karl Malone's first trip to the free throw line tonight comes with 9:09 to play in the fourth quarter. In the 2 losses Utah has suffered in this series, Malone averaged 3.5 free throw attempts a game. In their 3 victories, almost 10 free throws a game. And Kevin Willis had it go off of his foot, out of bounds. It belongs to the Jazz.
Get a rebound. Kevin Willis is matched up against Shandon Anderson on that rebound and couldn't even control.
24 on the clock for Utah. Stockton to the baseline, back outside. Malone puts up the jumper and hits. Karl Malone, 23 tonight.
Now there's a reason why he's not getting to the free throw line. Making a lot of jumpers and not, the fall away and not having a contact on it.
Olajuwon, and that foul is Antoine Carr. That's 3 on Carr. Let's go back to Karl Malone's jump shot.
Karl Malone's phenomenal improvement in perimeter face-up jump shooting. It's just frustrating Rudy Tomjanovich, one of the game's great shooters in his own right. Also, the Rocket big men Barkley and Willis are not gambling on Karl in the defensive low post.
Olajuwon's got to continue to go to the basket.
Meanwhile, all you have to do is continue to go to Clyde Drexler. 82-75 Houston. Drexler comes up with the loose ball. Barkley wants to go one-on-one with Malone. Turnaround. And Shandon Anderson has the rebound. Stockton for 3. And a big rebound by Olajuwon. Back come the Rockets. And a blocking foul at midcourt on Stockton.
Terrific outlet there by Akeem, and Clyde with that head down doesn't like to turn back to his left. Stockton causing that contact.
That's number 3 on John Stockton.
But that is a 5th team foul, and that's what's so crucial about the effort of Stockton trying to draw that foul. And you can see Stockton trying to pull Drexler in and then draw it by flopping.
27 points for Drexler tonight. Drexler is 4 of 6 tonight from behind the three-point line, and he's hit his last 3.
And the Rockets' main gunners 0 for 13 in Game 5 completely turned that around tonight. Akeem with another great defensive stop.
Drexler. Clyde Drexler is absolutely on fire tonight. They are alive and kicking at the Summit here in Houston. 87-75 Rockets, 7:26 to play. We remind you, whatever the outcome of tonight's game, NBC will have NBA action Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. If the Rockets win, we'll have Game 7 from Salt Lake City between the Jazz and the Rockets. If Utah wins tonight, we will begin with Showtime at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by Game 1 from the NBA Finals from Chicago, the Bulls and the Utah Jazz. Clyde Drexler has led an 8-0 Houston run. He has scored all 8 points, and the Rockets enjoy their biggest lead of the night at 87-75.
And Barkley is verbally taunting Malone.
John Stockton with a terrific drive down the lane to break that 8-0 run. Stockton has 9.
It's way too early for taunting. 7 minutes to go, a 10-point game, and with the game going in surges, they have got to continue to drive the ball, get some cheap buckets.
Olajuwon kicks it out. Eddie Johnson on the move. Gets his own rebound and back outside the 3. Back to EJ.
Now that's basketball. Ball movement coming back to a hot hand.
Hornacek to the left hand. Ostertag with the follow, and he is fouled. Eddie Johnson has had the hot hand. We told you earlier about his shot. We understand that it has been ruled a 2-pointer instead of a 3. And there's Eddie Johnson with the last 3-pointer. That was a 3.
Sedale Threed has played a marvelous floor game. Hakeem Olajuwon, a defensive force, picks up his second foul. He's got 6 blocks and countless intimidations.
13 for Greg Ostertag. That's his first point of the second half.
What Rudy Tomjanovich is counting on here in the final 6:25 is the experience of all of those players that are out there. All of those players are long in the tooth, and this is a game where you cannot afford to fool around with youth.
Hey, stop him! Stop him! Don't stop him!
And Charles Barkley is talking to Dick Bavetta, talking about the pushing and shoving going on between himself and Russell.
6:20 to play, fourth quarter.
I'd set up Drexler and Eddie Johnson here.
Barkley right back at Malone. To the baseline, fade away. Malone got that one. Utah looking to get the Houston lead down into single digits.
If you're the Rockets, you want the Jazz to have to work every 24 seconds to get a score.
Stockton. Ostertag. And he'll go to the line to shoot 2.
Huge effort by Ostertag that time. Now, in the first half, he was finishing at the bucket. Here in the second half, he's missing, but the effort that he put forth to give him a second chance. Stockton with a miss. Ostertag keeps it alive, then gets it back, and a chance back at the line.
Maybe that foot's a little sore on him, too, but Hakeem's paying him absolutely no respect, just letting him go wherever he wants.
Ostertag in his second year out of Kansas.
Ostertag has had a great run in this series from the free throw line. He's normally not that kind of stick from the line, but at 84% and perfect so far tonight.
All the Utah Jazz big men stroke those free throws.
90-81, the Rockets by 9 as we approach 5.5 to play in the fourth quarter.
The reason I say Olajuwon's got to continue to go to work, the free throw as he travels is going to be their ally. If they can just keep bringing the ball to the basket, they get to go to the line, penalty situation up. They haven't taken advantage of that. Here come the Jazz.
Hornacek in the lane. Jeff Hornacek. And Houston wants timeout. The Jazz have cut the lead to 7 with 5:18 to play here in the fourth quarter. You're watching the NBA on NBC. 7-point Houston lead, 5:18 to play, fourth quarter. Welcome back to the Summit in Houston. These head coaches, excellent coaches. Rudy Tomjanovich, Jerry Sloan, and maybe we can call this So You Want to Be a Head Coach in the NBA.
We'll call it sideline anxiety, but what happens is it's the misery of coaching. Watch the emotions that they go through and put forth.
And these guys do that when they're winning. The commissioner, David Stern, right across the way from us, taking in the action.
Jim Gray reporting from Houston's bench. Rudy telling him it's right there, but you got to go get it. It's not going to fall in your lap.
Barkley across the middle. 16 for Barkley. And 5 minutes to play.
I mean, both teams should know by now there's no quit in either one, and they're going to keep coming. Malone.
Barkley with the rebound. Malone arguing about a no call. Eddie Johnson.
That's a good shot for Eddie Johnson.
Malone fouled from behind by Barkley, and a great pass inside by John Stockton. That's number 3 on Barkley.
The relentless pressure applied by Utah on the run right at you. Malone able to establish himself so deep, and the crisp, sharp entry pass. No denying that.
Karl Malone 1 out of 2 from the line tonight. .24 for the mailman. Rebounded by Drexler.
Problem for the Rockets is they allowed Clyde Drexler to not touch the ball for a lot of times here.
Olajuwon back outside. Eddie Johnson spins, gets his man in the air off the glass. .14 for the 15-year veteran out of Illinois.
Now, Sloan looked up at the clock and he knows he's right in a crucial period where they got to continue to score the ball, or otherwise this one's over and they're headed for Game 7.
Finds Sadale 3 for the Rockets.
Johnson. Too hard off the glass. Ostertag has it. Coming up on 3.5 to play.
Terrific game for Greg Ostertag.
Stockton for 3. Out of bounds to Houston.
A hired gun. That's what Eddie Johnson has become late in the stages of his career, but he shows you that when you are a shooter, you are sweet. And you can see how he has hurt the Utah Jazz in his career. Some huge games for Eddie Johnson.
Stops in Kansas City, Sacramento, Phoenix, Seattle, Charlotte, Indiana, and now Houston.
Is there any place left?
Barkley on the baseline, had it stripped by Malone. And Threet makes the foul in the backcourt.
Good foul, Sadale 3, who has been the difference here, I think, for the Rockets. Drexler, of course, huge, but Maloney was not getting it done.
Everybody is on their feet here at the Summit. They want one more hoop. They think one more hoop will give them a lead. They're ready to explode. John Stockton at the line.
Stockton 3 out of 3 and 13 points tonight. Home court has ruled so far in this series. Utah won the first 2 games in Salt Lake City. Houston won games 3 and 4. Utah took game 5 back in Utah.
8-point game, 3 minutes to play.
Clyde's going right here.
And Brian Russell has his hand in the air before Dick Bavetta makes the call. That's number 3 on Russell.
That's what the Rockets want. They want free throw attempts. They've got to cash in on them. But if they score from the line, that prevents the Jazz from getting a mistake or a missed shot, and they're coming back and scoring themselves.
Drexler, not only sharp from the field, 7 for 7 from the free throw line.
You know, what's interesting is how players respond to criticism. What they're saying here, where's been Clyde Drexler? Same thing in Utah, and Karl Malone responded with a huge game 5, big game 7 for Drexler, 10 1/4 for Clyde.
And 33 on the night. Russell, three-pointer, top of the key, drained it. Brian Russell has 12, 96-89 Houston.
Perfect execution of the set offense. Guys keeping on the move for Utah. Now that's a move right there.
Into the lane. Ostertag got the block and grabbed the loose ball.
Terrific block by Ostertag, and that shows you how long he is. Stockton.
and 3. Thought he got all ball. That's number 4 on Sedale 3.
On the weak side for the Utah Jazz, they just keep interchanging, screening away, coming back to the ball. Brian Russell gets that jumper right down the lane. All ball, tough call, and Rudy Tomjanovich cannot believe it. He's died 1,000 deaths tonight.
John Stockton, 15 points, 12 assists tonight.
Remember, in Game 4, the Jazz closed with the fury to tie it up.
And the Rockets call time with 2:20 to play. Fourth quarter, 96-91. Rockets in the lead. We'll be back. There's a great right hand and a great right arm. Evander Holyfield, heavyweight champion. Warren Moon, quarterback extraordinaire. There's our timeout situation with 2:20 remaining. Houston with a 5-point lead. The Rockets need a win to force Game 7 Sunday in Salt Lake City. Your leading scorers.
Finally, good balance for the Rockets, something that the Jazz have had throughout the series.
Pick and roll.
Barkley has Russell down low, got away with a little bit of a shove, goes to the basket as fouled by Ostertag.
A little bit of a shove. When was the last time you were shoved by Charles?
That's 5 on Ostertag. Barkley with a bit of a shove to get away from Brian Russell, and then was fouled by Ostertag.
Remember that this has not been a strong night for Barkley from the free throw line. 5-point lead. Everybody exhaling here at the Summit.
Barkley, 6 of 9 from the line, now 7 of 10. 17 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. And Eddie Johnson goes to the bench.
They bring Mario in for some defensive purposes. I wouldn't be surprised if Eddie comes right back. This game is far from over.
Barkley gets them both. 98, 91, under 2 minutes to play.
Great bump by Drexler on Karl Malone.
Brian Russell for 3, got it! Brian Russell with 15, 98-94 Rockets.
Barkley in the post.
Now, the quicker you move the ball, the more difficult it is for the defense to see how quickly Barkley moves against Karl Malone.
Ellie for 3, and rebounded by Malone.
They've gone away from Akeem, they've gone away from Drexler, and they put Eddie Johnson on the bench.
Stockton into the lane, got it! And the Houston lead is down to 2 with 1:20 to play. Drexler lost it, coming across the lane. Stockton, 3 on 2, keeps it, tie game.
The same kind of furious finish for the Utah Jazz here at the Summit. Down, but it was Stockton making the tying bucket in Game 4. He brings them back with 2 quick energizers right at the hoop.
7-point run for the Utah Jazz has pulled them into a tie at 98. We'll be back after these words from your local station. 63 seconds remaining. Utah and Houston tied at 98, each team with a full timeout and a 20-second timeout remaining. Utah has scored 12 of the last 14 points to pull even.
The crowd deflated, stunned, and normally they're up during the break, totally quiet.
And Karl Malone talking to Charles Barkley. Olajuwon back outside. Sedale 3, in and out. Out of bounds 2, Houston.
Great diving tip there by Clyde Drexler. Sedale cannot get the jumper to go down.
49 seconds to play and a new 24. Olajuwon blocked by Ostertag, gets his own rebound, outside again. Ellie along the baseline, tried to give it away. Barkley comes up with it again, and he'll go to the line. Great work on the offensive glass by Charles Barkley.
The Rockets bailed out here. Ellie almost threw this one away, but Barkley dug it out. He got lower than anybody else. Now he's got another chance at the line.
That's 6 personals on Greg Ostertag.
Ostertag has been huge in plugging up the middle against Olajuwon. Stockton paying at the call. Barkley a chance from the line.
Pay tribute to that man. 16 points, 14 rebounds for Greg Ostertag tonight. Two-point lead for the Rockets.
Now it's Sedale Threet's turn to try to stop Stockton.
Stockton on the move in the lane, tie game, and timeout for the Rockets. 22 for John Stockton. Slow start tonight and a big second half.
12 in the quarter, and we've been here before in game 4. Watch Stockton lean in with body control and get the floater, and now it is win or tie time for the Houston Rockets. But Sloan had no hesitation in calling Stockton's number. Look at the control. He was on his way down.
And he's still right-handed, but right now the Rockets just play for 1.
22.4 remaining. There's the timeout situation. Last Sunday here in Houston, these teams went to the final seconds tied at 92, and Eddie Johnson hit the game-winning three-pointer at the buzzer. We're tied at 1-1.
But Eddie's out of the game right now. He had a strong fourth quarter here. Rudy T, with just a couple minutes to go, brings in Mario Ellie, and Mario has not had a good finish here.
Let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim.
All right, now Rudy Tomjanovich is diagramming a play. The first thing he said to his team is, guys, run the clock all the way down. We're either going to win or tie this game. Then he turned around and he said, Eddie, I'm coming with you. You're coming back into the game. We'll have more as he diagrams the play, Greg.
All right, Jim.
Well, we know what Rudy is planning on doing. He's planning on either winning the game or going into overtime and regrouping his troops. If you're Jerry Sloan, what you got to tell your team is no fouls. Try to play this straight-up hard defense, because if you foul, that puts them on the free throw line, and if you foul late, you almost have no chance of getting back.
What's at stake? The Utah Jazz, if they can pull out a victory here, go to the NBA Finals for the first time. They have won once in 12 games in the Western Conference Finals on the road. What the Rockets are trying to do is play again on Sunday.
The question for the Rockets is how quickly you put the hands in the ball of your playmaker. Whether it's Barkley, whether it's Akeem, whether it's Clyde Drexler. Your spot-up guys, they'll just keep moving.
Drexler, Eddie Johnson, Sedale Threet, Olajuwon, and Barkley. For the Jazz, Antoine Carr, Karl Malone, Brian Russell, Stockton, and Hornacek. 20 seconds to play.
Watch Stockton as he'll try to read the passing lane. Drexler holding the ball.
5 seconds. Drexler on the move, off the glass, no. Rebound, timeout called with 2.5 on the clock.
Clyde was certain that he had that one, made that big spin, but a little bit too hard off the window.
Clock has been readjusted to 2.8 when we come back. Clyde Drexler came oh so close to putting the Houston Rockets up 2 on this play.
He had the ball the whole way, and when he spins, gets by it, but he double clutches. He brings it down, and it just rims out. Now Utah I say they run the play where they hit Karl Malone high. He swings through, steps back, and hits that fadeaway 21-footer.
2.8 seconds is a ton of time, so they have at least time to make 2 passes and get a shot. The Rockets have no fouls to give, and Stockton has been the man here in the fourth quarter.
For tonight, Malone has taken the majority of the shots as usual. He leads the Jazz in scoring with 24. Stockton right behind him. Hornacek has had a good night shooting the basketball. It may be MVP time here for the Utah Jazz.
If anybody other than Stockton or Malone take this jumper, there'll be questions asked for eternity.
Well, I don't know. Hornacek has been good in the game. So has Russell. Russell with 2 3-pointers. What they want is a good look. They want a chance to give themselves an opportunity to go to the finals, not go to overtime. Barkley in the Jazz huddle.
Charles Barkley looking over Antoine Carr's shoulder and came away smiling.
And again, problem here is you don't want to foul the shooter.
Who's going to guard Karl Malone? Barkley. They got Akeem on Antoine Carr.
Russell will inbound at half court. Stockton, open 3. Hit it! John Stockton sends the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals. John Stockton finishes with 25 points, the last 3 at the buzzer. What a way to answer Eddie Johnson's winning 3-pointer in Game 4.
And what a great moment for the Utah franchise. Their proudest moment ever. Breakdown defensively, nobody stays where Stockton. Barkley has to come out.
We have never seen this kind of emotion from Stockton and Malone, and finally their day has come, but the catch was too easy, and Stockton, who had been the hot hand in the quarter, finishes up the game. 15 in the quarter with that 3.
25 points, 13 assists. The Utah Jazz says, yes, we are moving on with a 4-2 victory over the Houston Rockets. Rudy Tomjanovich says, there goes the season. Let's go to Jim Gray. Jim.
All right, thank you very much, Greg. John Stockton, you guys, 15 points for you in the quarter. Tell us about that last shot that's sending you to the finals.
Who knows? I'm just glad it went in. It's very exciting.
You had that big run there at the end of the quarter. I believe it was 15-4. Did you guys at any point over there think, hey, we're headed toward Game 7?
Not for sure. We knew we weren't out of it, and we knew our guys wouldn't give up. Nobody gave up, and all we had to do was get back in that ball game. They might tighten up a little bit, but I just feel so happy we got that done.
John, tell us, it's been a lifetime dream for you to get to the finals. Tell us about making this accomplishment now.
Absolutely. Nothing to say.
Can you beat Chicago?
We'll find out. Nobody thought we could beat Houston.
Karl, a lifetime dream to get to the finals. You said you might cry if you made it. Are you almost there in tears?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. You know, what we've been through as a team. Everybody stuck together and believed in each other, and it's just awesome. It's totally awesome.
How about that shot by John? Was diagrammed?
When it left his hand, it looked like it was good when it left. So I didn't know how to react because it looked good when it left. But yeah, I'm so proud of the guys. I really am. Everybody just hung in there. We got down, and we said we wanted to win it here, and it make it that much sweeter to win here because they've knocked us out a couple of times. God, it's an awesome feeling.
Karl, congratulations. We look forward to seeing you on Sunday.
Thank you very much.
Coach, was that just how you diagrammed it there?
Well, John made the shot. Everything looks good whenever they make the shot. It doesn't make any difference what you run.
At any point, you had said to your guys in your huddle, with about 3 minutes left, guys, I'm proud of the way that you competed. Whatever happens from here. Did that loosen the group up?
I don't know if it did or not, but we seemed to continue to compete. We made a couple of stops, and I think that was the important thing. We just kept playing, and usually if you do that and don't lose your concentration, you have a chance.
You're a former Bull. In fact, when you walk in to the complex out in Deerfield, Illinois, there's a picture of you in a Bulls uniform that says thanks for everything. Now you get the opportunity to go back against them. Your thoughts on playing the Bulls in the finals?
Well, I haven't given much thought to that. I never thought we'd ever get there, but you know, it's been a long road to get back to that situation, but I've been fortunate. I've got great guys that work with us, and the coaching staff and our players have been great to work with.
Jerry, congratulations. We'll see you Sunday.
Thank you very much, Jim.
All right, let's send it back now over to Greg Gumbel.
All right, Jim Gray, as we take another look at the great shot by John Stockton, an outstanding end to an outstanding series, guys.
They had a terrific screen, and that's what allowed Stockton to get open, and he had all day to catch, and there was no decision about what he was going to do. Got it up and down. You see the clock, and I guess turnabout is fair play, and, you know, finally, justice is served.
And now the two best passing teams play in the finals. The battle of MVPs, Karl Malone, Michael Jordan. What could be better? Let's go.
They split 2 games in the series. Once again, our final score: the Utah Jazz 103, the Houston Rockets 100. The NBA Finals are set. Game 1 Sunday, beginning with NBA Showtime at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, and then Karl Malone and the Utah Jazz face Michael Jordan and the Bulls in the opening game of the 1997 NBA Finals. That's Sunday here on NBC. Now, stay tuned, most of these stations, for The Tonight Show after your local news.
Capture the dream, give it all for the team. The call of the glory, the thrill of the game. This is the moment the whole world can see. Go for the gold with total control. Feet in the fire, burning deep.
For Steve Jones, Bill Walton, and Jim Gray, I'm Greg Gumbel saying so long from Houston. It's been a pleasure working with you guys once again. This has been a presentation of the NBA on NBC.